What's going on, guys? It's Shawnee Salami. Now that the new update came out today, I figured I'd give an updated tier list. The other one's a little outdated now. So without further ado, let's get into it. This one, there's not much to say about. Pretty straightforward. Let's get on to the next one. The spear is for people who act tough, but ultimately when it comes down to an actual fight and confrontation, they can't wait for it to get broken up. They're not going to go outside and fight man to man, because all spear users do is heavy stab through their teammates and never get in the actual action. I'm not going to do an individual breakdown of these three because they're all for the same kind of person. That's for the people who are scared to death of women. Unless you're losing your self-respect by putting yourself deep in the friend zone, and then you blame her or society even though you did it yourself. And while the three weapons play in different ways, they don't really take a lot of skill to put up like high number games, and you're probably not found anywhere near the objective. This tier is for people who try to be different too much. You're probably a coffee snob. You always say the book is better than the movie. Core Club users are a cult. They're very strange people. The glaive, quarterstaff, and guitars, those you're trying too hard to be different. And it's really not in a fun way because there's other off-meta options that do the same thing while you have more fun that are just flat out cooler. If you use the Highland Sword, you watch too much anime and you're usually Naruto running through the hallways at your school when you were in high school and probably got bullied and shoved in lockers a lot. Nobody cares about the rapier. Here is where you just mostly find people who are run-of-the-mill average Joes. Nothing really particular about their demeanor. Polehammer is very workmanlike, but my issue with that weapon is that you're probably way too into history because there's way more fun and cool weapons, so you want to be realistic, and that's kind of cringy. As for the rest, they're just one-handers that I don't really have any particular feeling about. As we move on to the Man of Culture tier, we're getting into the good stuff now. The poleaxe is for people who aren't trying to be different, they just are, but in a unique and good way. You don't have to brag about how much you like the poleaxe or your interests, you're just a dude vibing. The Mace and Warhammer, so they're blunt weapons, which by nature makes them more Chad. Because of their short range, like you're aggressive, your playstyle is very in your face. Warhammer does come up a little behind the mace. That's just because the Warhammer is better, but it is close. And the axe also has that short range while being aggressive, but because it doesn't have hit stop and you're getting that chop damage, it's still a Chad weapon, but not quite as much. Heavy Mace comes in at the end of Alpha Male because I find Heavy Mace users to fall under two categories. Either absolute Alpha Male, just rushing in aggressive, not even caring about their stats. But there also is the meta slaves that are doing comp and I care a little too much about a silly sword game. So we'll even it out and put it in Alpha Male because the War Axe, those guys don't care about their own safety whatsoever. You're a madman. You're just rushing in. You're fighting every single person on the battlefield. You'll run into 1 versus 30 if you could. The Longsword and Greatsword, you're pretty into the classics, but in a good way. They're respected weapons despite how good they are. Executioner's Axe is for people who are maybe missing a few brain cells, because they do a lot of team damage, but we respect them for that because they want you out of their way. They don't care. That kind of speaks to an attitude of, I don't need help, I'll get it done myself and put my head down and get to work. All engineer weapons go into the highest tier because these are the true heroes of Chivalry 2. Every time you walk by one, make sure you salute and thank them for their service. They are not appreciated enough. The Battle Axe is the War Axe, but with more attitude to it, just more fuck you kind of mentality. Two-handed hammer is the worst heavy mace, so you kind of cut out that whole thing about people who care too much about a silly sword game, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. I was mostly just kidding. And then the Maul is the Maul. I can confirm this is 100% accurate because I am a Messer main, and I am very afraid of women. If you want to see me put up 90 kills with it, check the video above.